Welcome back to Steve Robb Reviews. Today's review is going to be all about this particular Tecumseh 5 horsepower carburetor that will only run, there's the choke off, it will only run with the choke on. And in my experience, it's only been a couple of things, which is a dirty carburetor, or you can make an adjustment on the lower main jet and to resolve it. In this particular situation, there is no adjustability on the main jet down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this carb off and we are going to decide to put a new carb on. Now, I got the fuel shut off, so it's just a matter of taking some lines off, which aren't going to be easy because these lines are old and they are hard and they are brittle. So this machine, believe it or not, is from 1994. You imagine that, 1994. So, okay. This will come off. Just have to, there we go. Bring it down like this. Take the gear clamp off and push this down out of the way because we have to get our wrenches in there. So if you notice here, all I've done was put some white highlight marker right here because there's many different holes on the top of your throttle plate. So I just put one here and one right over here in case this happens to fall off, because you can see there's two on the top and one here. So the best thing to do really is to just take it off, and it's so easy to do. I mean, all you've got is just two nuts to take off, and then you can flip the carb up. Now what's going on here is it's turning on the back side, which is not good. So I'm going to have to get another wrench for the back side. So it looks like the one side is 7/16 that I'm operating, and the back side is 3/8. So that's ready to come off there. So I'll switch over to the other side, and let's just see if this will come off without me having to reach in the back side. I think it will. Yeah, it's coming off nice there. Okay, so let me just take these two fasteners off here. There's the one here. Put that in my bowl. And then we'll take this one off. And I mean, this is one of them jobs where, you know, anybody could do. It's not a hard job. And so I'll take this nut off here. There we go. Now, before I go any further, there's a line on the side here. See if this will just pull off. No, it's not going to just pull off. There, just use a screwdriver to pry it with. There we go. There, so this is your primer line. So what I'm going to do now is take the carb off and just tilt it down. So this rod here stays, and this rod here comes out. And it's got a little bit of a fancy twist to it here. Okay, so it looks like it's coming out the other end. Okay, so now you can see I got them both marked anyway, so I know it goes into this hole here. So there is a gasket here. I'm going to take that gasket off, but let's take this over to the bench, and we're going to compare this carb to the new carb, and I'll show you exactly why you're probably better ahead if you've got this style of carburetor to actually replace it than it is to clean it, because I've cleaned this about 3 times in the last maybe 30 years since I've owned this machine, and it's getting old and tired. So I think the best thing to do is just replace it. Well, here we go right here. Here's the old carb off, and here's the new one. Now the first thing you could notice, yeah, it's got an adjustment on the bottom here for your main jet, and there's an adjustment on the side. Now this one here, no adjustment on the main jet, and it does have an adjustment on the side right here. Now the style is a little bit different, but it's nothing that, you know, when you're taking a look at it like this, you'd ever notice a difference. I mean, I would say it's pretty close to a carbon copy of each other. There's a little bit of subtle differences, but you know, like the spout on this one here is a little bit shorter than the spout here, which is the primer. Now, so what do you do in the situation where it only runs with the choke on? As soon as you turn it to off, well, it starts to sputter and stall on you. Well, I tell you what, in most situations, yeah, you can clean this no problem, but you know what? This carb is 30 years old. Is it worth my time? So let me just show you here. So there's the price I paid for this carb, and for the money, I think it's well worth it for $20. What do you think? Leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Okay, so if you take a look at here, it's got the drain valve here on the bottom for draining the carb out, and it's got the adjustment here for the main jet, which is, they should all come like that, but they don't. The problem I've been having recently with this one here is it's leaking as well here, so I always have to shut the fuel off because it's leaking at this one right here. So I suspect, yeah, I've got some dirt inside the bowl here, and I don't know, it's one of them things, right? So if we just take a look at here, and we take a look at the top, and you can see it's identical here, right? So you know, if I take this one out, put it right here, there you go, Bob's your uncle. So let's take it over to the machine, and I'll show you what I've got done so far. I just had to clean up the mating surface to put this on, and then I'll put the carb on. Okay, so you can see that the mating surface is all nice and clean there. So it's just a matter of just putting the new gasket over top, and then I'll put the carburetor on, because you see how it come off. It's so easy just to put it right back on. I just have to put the linkage right into that spot that I marked, and we'll come back when that's finished. Well, the last thing I got to do before we can even try to start it is put this little bracket on, and that operates the choke. I just tighten that up there, tighten up there, and I can just put the choke knob on just temporarily for now. So that's open choke, that's full choke. So we'll leave it on full choke, and I didn't touch any of the settings, the main jet or the side air jet. I didn't touch anything, I just left the way it was. It should be set from the factory at about 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 turns from being fully screwed in. So we'll just leave it like that, the way it is, and we're going to attach the fuel line, and then we're going to see if it'll start. Well, I got the garage door opened up. I left the fuel on for a good 3-4 minutes to make sure there's no fuel leaks anywhere, and I'll just put the knob on here for the choke for now. Just and there it is. That right there is full choke on. I'll prime it a bit here. Now you can see some fuel leaking out there. That's what it's supposed to do. So let's hit the electric start. Let's see what happens. Oh. Okay, so I'm just buttoning it all up here, and I just thought I'd show you. You want to get a little bit of a laugh. Back then, in the 90s, well, the technology wasn't that great, and there was a bracket that went from here over to here. This little piece is broken to hold this up. There's two screws that mount into the front of the carb. But when I first bought this machine in '94, sometimes the snow would sit up on top, like when you're snow blowing. It would drip down, and when you're finished snow blowing, you put the snow blower away, and it would freeze all the linkages and springs in here. So what I did back then, a V8 juice can, and that was it right there. I mean, that's been on there since, well, the first year I owned this machine in 1994. So, you know, when it comes down to it, you have to improvise as you go along. And I mean, this job here, I think anybody could actually do. It's not a hard thing to do. So we'll take it off the lift, we'll start her up, and we'll see how she sounds. Okay, she might not be pretty, but she sure runs good. So let's just give her a little bit of a pull here. Is that some slick or what? $20, you can do this yourself. So let me just ask you something while I got you out here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a brand new snowblower. I mentioned this before in the past. I'm going to buy, well, a bigger one. Because this one here just about puked its guts out there last year, and we got over 20 inches of snow. And she's getting old, so I just want to keep this as a backup. So I'm buying a new one this year. I need some suggestions on what to buy, because I'm only looking at, well, I got quite a tight criteria. It's got to be built in North America. It has to be at least 8 horsepower. I got a 24-inch bucket here. I want to go to a 28-inch bucket, and I want something heavy duty. So I've been looking, and there's only 2 brands that I'm really looking at, and that is Toro and Ariens. They're both heavy-duty machines. I like them. Which one have any of you had any experience with? Because I'd be happy with either one. I'm going to buy one. I'm going to read the suggestions down below. And I tell you what, it seems like Lowe's sells the Ariens, Home Depot sells the Toro. I have to get a machine that is actually mass-produced so I can get parts for years. Like this old MTD here, I can still buy the belts, friction disc, you name it. I can still buy everything 30 years later. So that's why I'm leaning towards something that's mass-produced, and it has to be built in North America. So leave me some comments down below and let me know what you think. The third one would be Honda. But to tell you the truth, they're mostly into the tracks now. They got one machine that's got wheels, and to tell you the truth, it's like way overpriced out of my budget. So really, I'm looking at the Ariens and the Toro. Leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me here today. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe. Come back again and see some interesting things from an interesting guy like me. Cheers.